All right, so there's what we're talking about. Oh, it doesn't do that when I blow it. I don't know why it does that. I'm blowing it up on my, it's getting bigger for me. It doesn't change up there. I don't know why that doesn't happen, but whatever. All right, so can you guys see that okay? They're basically showing you, hey, there's a little graphing calculator screen. Notice the x-min and the x-max, right? That's the left edge, right edge is what that is. So when they say that, so they're saying this is negative 10, this is positive 10. See how the x-min, x-max, that's the minimum and maximum values of the x, and then y-min, y-max, bottom and top, what do they say those are? Negative 5, positive 5. So with that in mind, what that means is each of the jumps on the x-axis, how much are each of these little lines? You can see it okay. They must be 2, right? Because you go from the middle is 0 and you're getting all the way over to 10 in just 5 jumps. So they must be 2 per jump, right? So it must be, if I can write small, I can't write small enough. So we'll just say there are 2 per jump. So this is back 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then it's up, what? Looks like 3 lines up. 1, 2, 3. And each of those is just 1 because it only goes up to 5 and down to negative 5. We okay with that? I'm getting that from the fact that it tells me y min negative 5, y max positive 5. So each of those jumps. So the vertical jumps are just 1. The horizontal jumps are 2. You can make them totally different amounts. That's totally legal. In real life applications, they're totally different units. Like this is miles and this is time or something, you know. So they're totally different. So anyway, so what's the coordinates of that dot then? Yeah, it's back 8, isn't it? And it's up 3. Yeah, back 8, up 3, because it's 4 jumps back, which is 8, right? Because they're 2 per jump, up 3. So that's all they want. They just want the coordinates of that point. And so there we go. We've got it. All right, I'm going to move ahead. We got a lot of... All right. So there we go. All right, so how do we do that? How do we determine if those points are on the graph or not? Yeah, you plug them in, don't you? Yeah, it's just simply a plug-in question. So you take y, oops, I'm on the wrong thing there. Take y equals x squared minus root x. And we're going to plug in, let's start with the one that's negative 1, comma 2. Like that. So basically that's an x value and a y value. We're going to plug those in to see if it's true or not, right? That's the test for being on the graph, isn't it? Right? A point is on. Now they're not even showing me the picture here, are they? They're not even showing me the graph, but they're saying, hey, if we were to graph this thing, if we were to graph this equation and get a picture of it by hand or by graphing calculator, would the point back 1 up 2 be on that graph? And how we know is if does it make it true? Well, I took your pen, I never gave it back. No, thanks. Yeah, so we just plug it in and see. So negative 1, 2. So plug in the 2 for y, the negative 1 in both the x slots. All right, my pen's working so much better. All right, plug that in. What do you think? Is that true? Let's work out the left side. It's plugged in the 2 for y. Negative 1 squared is positive 1, right? Minus, and what's the square root of negative 1? Yeah. It's error. It's imaginary. You can't square root negative numbers, right? Because what times itself is negative 1? Nothing. Right? Can't do the square root of negative 1. It's I. It's imaginary. So this is no. 2 does not equal 1 plus an imaginary number. So plugging in negative 1 for x and 2 for y did not make the equation true. So that means that dot would not be on the graph when it came to graphing. So not that one. So let's try another one now. How about 2, negative 1? Does that one work? That's probably it, huh? I don't know. I can't tell. So I'm going to plug that in. So you just do them one at a time. See which ones make it true. So this is x. This is y. Plug in for y here. So does negative 1 equal 2 squared minus the root? Oh, no, that's not true, is it? That doesn't work either. Negative 1 does not equal 4 minus the root of 2. I don't know what 4 minus the root of 2 is, but it's not negative 1. So that one's a no also. So it's no on that one, no on C. So maybe it's, is 0, 0 work? Oh, yeah, 0, 0. I just done that one, huh? 0, 0 works easy. right? Put in 0 for x and 0 for y. 0 equals 0 squared minus the root of 0. 0 equals 0. Yeah, it's b. All right, so you know how to do that. Let's move on. Yeah, right. Intercepts mean where the thing hits the x and y axis. Exactly right. So yeah, so when they say find the intercepts, that's right here, and right there is a y-intercept, huh? And these two are x-intercepts, aren't they? So they're places, what are you doing? They're places where it hits the x-axis and the y-axis. All right, so it says, what does it want me to do? Type them all in? Does it want all the intercepts? List the intercepts. Yeah, it wants them all. Okay, so you basically have to type them in. It says type ordered pairs, use integers or fractions, use a comma to separate answers. Right, so we're going to go, okay, what's the coordinates? Let's start with this one right here. This one right here. That one is back pi over 6, and there's a pi button that'll appear at the bottom. I'll show you. I'll go back and show you. A back pi over 6 up 0. That'd be the first one. It doesn't matter what order you put them in. The next one's pi over 6 comma 0. That's that one, right? And then the bottom one, this one, what's that? What's the coordinates of that one? I can't even tell. Are those 1? Are those jumps 1? Yeah. Well, it doesn't look very good up there either. How do you know?
The marker's covering the 2.
Is that what it is?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's important. Let me see me read. Yeah, there you go. You're right. You saw it. Good eyes. Yeah, that's 2. So this must be 1. So then this is a negative 1 down here, isn't it? So that's over 0 down 1. So that's what they want you to type in, just like that, with those commas, the parentheses, and the commas separating. Any order, you could mix those all around. It doesn't really matter. Yeah, what I mean by, let me show you. Also, write this stuff. All right. Okay, so there we go. So they want me to graph it on the screen. Y equals x minus 2. So y equals x minus 2. So how do you graph that line, y equals x minus 2? Yeah, there's a couple of, they say plot points. I'm just gonna start at the negative 2. That's what is the negative 2 called? Yeah, that's the y-intercept. That's the y-intercept. So that means that's where you start. That'd be right down here at negative. Oops, it always does a weird thing. When I do a dot, there we go. So it starts at negative 2, right? It's always on the vertical line, right? That starts in the middle. Positive would be up the middle. Negative would be down the middle, right? So whatever number is out there is your starting dot on the middle line. Remember the y-intercept, right? Positive is up the middle, negative is down the middle. That's your first dot. We only need 2 dots, huh? We only need 2 dots to get the line, so that's the first dot. And where do we find the second dot? How do we get to our second dot, and then we'll connect them to make the line? How do we get the second one? You can plug in points. Yeah, there's lots of ways. You can plug in points. You guys want to make tables, that's fine. I'm just going to use the slope this time, and maybe the next one I'll do plug in points, and either way is fine. What's the slope? Where do you find the slope of this line? Yeah, it's what's in front of the x, which is 1 over 1, really. 1 times x, right? So that's the what? The rise and the run. You remember all this from your algebra days, those happy days, and living fondly in your memory, maybe? All right, so rise over 1. So that means up 1 over 1. And you can just keep doing that, huh? Up 1 over 1, up 1 over 1, right? To get more and more dots. We only need 1 more dot. So this graph is kind of tiny. So I'll go up 1 over 1. Boom, there's another dot. Connect the dots. We got the line. So everybody remember all that stuff from graphing straight lines? So whatever number's out here. Oh, by the way, all this only flies if y is alone, huh? Right? They gave me, if y wasn't alone, I would have had to first get y alone, or none of this would work. So you get y alone, whatever number's out here is your starting dot. Positive, it's up the middle. Negative, it's down the middle. So I went down 2, put a dot. And then rise over run, whatever fraction is in front of the x, up 1 over 1. Put your second dot, and we have our 2 dots. So I can show you how Math Excel works. All right. So there it is. Okay, so they're saying plug in. So that means just really make a table. So xy when x is negative 2. They want me just to plug it in and find the dot. Right? Again, I'm not going to do this on the test. I'm going to say graph it any way you want. You know, I don't care about tables or whatever way you like. They're getting real specific and saying they want me to do a certain thing. So I'll say, okay, so y is 4x minus 1. Plug in the negative 2, and we get something. What's that? Negative 8 minus 1, negative 9. Negative 2, negative 9. There it is. So that's the dot. They say plot the point. So I guess they just want you to find that dot. So you would just put that dot on the graph, and then they probably ask you for another one. Anyway, I think we're good. Feel free to speak up if you have questions. I think. All right. So an x squared graph is indeed a parabola. So whenever you see y equals x squared minus 5, you want to think right away, that's a U shape. It's either going up or it's going down. How do you know which one, up or down?
Positive or negative?
Positive, negative. Positive, negative where? In front of the x, huh? Yeah, it's positive there, so it's a U shape going up, right? If that was negative x squared, it'd be a U shape going down, right? You just want to know that automatically. We're going to get, that is important. We're going to get into graphing in a couple weeks. Really, one of the main purposes of this class is to make you a comfortable grapher without the calculator, even though we're using the calculator as well for more difficult things, but to be able to just look at a graph and just know right away. By the way, what if x was out here and it was y squared like that? What would that do? Does anybody know that one?
Just turn it sideways.
Yeah. The U shape goes sideways then when you have the y squared, right? It's important to know as you move. You want to go into calculus next. I've just last night at the dinner table, I was working with my daughter. She's taken Mr. Dorn, if you've had him for Calc 2 right now, and he gave this as like the intro problem, and he does not allow graphing calculus, which I think is a wise move at that level. Most teachers in Calc don't. Anyway, and I was telling her, honey, you got to just look at that and know that. You got to know that that's a sideways U right away. You got to know. So right away you got to know those things as you move into Calc. Okay, so we look at that thing. So basically, we're done. It's just multiple choice. It's so easy. That's the only U shape going up. It's not those straight lines, is it? Now, I'm not going to give you multiple choice like that on the test. We'll get more formal about graphing and more careful later. So let me just leave it at that for now. Yeah, I better leave. I'm tempted to do a whole thing, but we're going to do that later. We're going to get really detailed about how you find a central point, how you find another point, and we'll get. All right. So they're giving me this. They want me to graph the equation by plotting points. So minus 2x plus 3y is negative 6. So what would you do if you were given this question on a test? They asked you to graph the line. Get the y by itself. I think that's the easy way. You don't have to. Some people like to just plug in points, make tables right now. That's fine if you're real good with that. Most students I found are more comfortable with just getting y alone. So I'll just do that method. But I never care on the test what method you do. I'm fine with anything you want to do. So add 2x to both sides. 3y is 2x minus 6 like that. Right? Add that 2x over. Divide by the 3. When you divide, you go all the way across, huh? All the way like that. So we get 2/3 x minus 2. Good for graphing. So can you tell right now which of those graphs it is? Do we even need to mess around? That's it, right? Because, how do I know right away? Well, it starts at down 2. Now, this one starts at down 2, and so does that one. They both have a starting dot, but it's the positive slope, right, Robert? It's the positive. They both start at down 2. Oops. For their starting dot, don't they? But this one this is a positive slope, right? Rise over run. So it's up 2 over 3, huh? Up 2 over 3. It's not going down. It's going up to the right. So, easy enough. Questions? Is that okay? Okay, so they're giving me the equation. 4x squared plus 9y is 36. So, and right away when we see x squared, we know this is a U shape up or down, huh? When y is first power and x is squared, that's a U shape up or down. Okay. So what should we do? Solve for y like we did. I think solving for y is generally a good plan. So let's do that. We'll get so into these later. We'll find their focus points and everything. We'll have a whole section on these. We'll get more into these than you ever wanted to get into these, probably. All right, and so now divide through by 9. Right, get that y totally alone. And so we get y equals minus 4/9 x squared plus 4. All right, so can you tell which answer it is? It's got to be that one. Because it's a U-shape going down, huh? Just the negative. So the negative on the x squared, it's U-shape going down. So again, they're keeping it pretty simple now. Later we'll get really specific. And I'll not only say this, I'll show me these points, find for me the focus, or the focus point, which is somewhere inside. We'll get much more detailed later, but for now they're just saying, do you know the basics of what these shapes are looking like? All right, feel free to stop. Okay, so there we go. So yeah, they want me to find the, what do they got? Y equals 4x minus 21. And they're saying the trick, and we could graph it easy enough, right? We'd start it down 21 and then go up 4 over 1. That'd be easy, but they're not asking for that. They're saying enter the y-intercepts. So they want the y-intercepts. How do you find the y-intercepts? Yeah, that's just that, right? Yeah, or plug in 0 for x. Totally, yeah, both are true. You can either plug in 0 for x, and if you plugged in 0 for x, look at what y would equal. Negative 21. Remember, we already said that that number out there is the y-intercept. Now you see y doubling, don't you? Right? When you plug in 0 for x, y is negative. Now, why we? If I was you, I'd be wondering, like, why are you talking about plugging in 0 for x? Well, because if you think about it, that's not a good way to start. Let me try this again. If you think about what a y-intercept really is, it's where the line does something like this, doesn't it? It's right here, and it's over 0 down 20. See how the x value, y value, the x value is 0 when you're a y-intercept? Because if you're on the y-axis, that means you're over 0, huh? Your x-coordinate is 0. That's what that means. So that's why so I can give you the general rule. We'll talk about this more later. Whenever somebody in any situation, not just for straight lines, any kind of graph, on through calculus and beyond, whenever they ask you for a y-intercept, you should right away set x to 0. And if they ask you for an x-intercept, you should do what? Set y to 0. Yeah, because it means the opposite letter is 0. Like right here. Here's the x, and they're not asking me for it, but there's the x-intercept. Think about the coordinates of that. Oh, it's off your screen a little bit, huh? Think about what the coordinates of that point must be. It must be over something I don't know, up 0. Right? Because it's on the horizontal line. It's up 0. So in other words, its y-coordinate is 0. Its x, I don't know. But its y height is 0 when it's on the x-axis. Well, it's off your screen there. Anyway, right? You see what I'm saying? So when you're an x-intercept, when you're on the x-axis, your height is 0. Your y-coordinate, so your opposite letter is 0. When you're on the x-axis, that's not, try it again. When you're on the y-axis, your x-coordinate is 0, right? Opposite letter is 0. So that's what we think right away. Whenever they ask us for intercepts, we think right away set the opposite letter to 0. X-intercept, make y 0. Y-intercept, make x 0. So as I look at that equation, they want a y-intercept. I make x 0, and you can tell it's negative 21. So that's all they want on that one. All right. All right, so they're giving me 5x squared plus 3y is 52. They want me to, now you can just type it in your graphing calculator if you want, or do it by hand. Now, even if you're going to use your graphing calculator, you first have to solve for y, even to use the graphing calculator. Because the graphing calculator, I don't know if you know how to graph with it, but they all have y equals, y equals. So you have to get y alone, even to use a graphing calculator. Roberto, you are here. What do you need? You need a couple minutes, huh? So I'll wrap this up, show the practice exam. Roberto's our assigned tutor, and so he'll talk in a minute. I just noticed you there. All right, so let's solve for y, and then we'll basically be done. Man, this is great. I'm just going so much faster, Mr. Balo. emailed me. I don't know if you guys know, physics teacher. He's the one that got me on to doing this whole thing to record lectures. And I told him my pen is just lagging like crazy. And he told me to turn a certain thing off. Anyway, I'm very happy because I want to go. And that pen was just like snailing along. So anyway, so I'll be able to get so much more math done now. I can go back to being a fast talker. All right, so divide through by 3. All right, so there we go. Y is alone. There it is. So what? So, well, we know it's a U-shape going, it's a U-shape, X squared. It's going down. It's a U-shape going down, so it's one of these two, right? One of these two, because these are the two U-shapes going down. How do I know which one?
By the y-intercept?
Yeah. If x is 0, y-intercept x 0, this is something positive. It's got to be that one. You guys with me on that? It's got to be that one. I don't even need to get more detailed than that, right? It starts up 52 thirds, whatever 52 thirds is. I have no idea. 17 point something. Yeah, 17 and a third, or 0.3 forever. Yeah. Yeah, so it starts up somewhere in the middle. It doesn't start at 0, 0, in other words. Right? So that's good enough. Good? All right, let me show you the